We continue now at the top of Daf Lamed Aleph Amud Aleph Meseches Beitzah. This is Beitzah Daf 31a. The Mishnah says, "Mevi'in eitzim min hasadeh." We can bring wood from the field. This is talking about on Yontiv. Min hamechunas, if the wood was already gathered. Umin hakarfif, and from the karfif, which is an enclosed area. Afilu min hamefuzar, then you could bring wood even if it's scattered, even if it is not gathered. Ezehu karfif, the Mishnah says, what is considered a karfif? Kol shesamach li, it has to be an area that is near the city. Rabbi Yehuda, this is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yossi says, Kol shenichnasin lo b'fosachas. It's any area that's enclosed that you have to enter there with a key. Ve'afilu b'soch tchum Shabbos, even if it's nearby, meaning even if it's within the tchum, within the boundary of Shabbos, that also is considered a karfif. Rashi over here says, Mevi'in eitzim hatalushim min hasadeh shebesoch hatchum b'yontiv. The case over here is, let's say you have wood, it's detached from the ground, and it's within the tchum on yontiv, min hachunas. Again, if you're bringing it from the field, it has to have been gathered. Im konsum erev yontiv, if you gathered it from before yontiv, the goli daite do alayu samach. Now you've shown that that's wood that you want to take, that you want to use. Ve'eno muksa, it's not going to be considered muksa. Avol hamifuzar in muksin, but if you have wood that's scattered, again in the sada, in the field, then it's going to be considered muksa. Umen akarfe, from the enclosed area, shumishtamer, that's a guarded, protected area. Umuk sav, if it's surrounded, afilu mifuzarim shabolo hiksamidaito, even that wood which is scattered is not going to be considered muksa. Samuch le'ir mamish. Again, the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda was the karfif has to be mamish near the city. And the other opinion, Rabbi Yossi said, no, afilu b'soch tchum Shabbos b'sofo, even if it's at the end of the tchum, but if it's a place where you enter with a key, that's considered to be a karfif. And the Gemara says, Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, Rav Yehuda says in the name of Shmuel, Ein mevi'in eitzim ela min hamechunasin shebekarfif. On Yontiv, you're only allowed to bring wood that's gathered and that's in the karfif. In other words, this is a chumrah over here. Not only does it have to be in the karfif, but even in a situation when it's in the karfif, it has to be gathered as well. So the Gemara says, what's going on? Vonan tanan, but didn't we learn our Mishnah? Min hakarfif afilu min hamefuzarim. It says no. It says that if it's a karfif, you're allowed to bring, even if it's scattered. We can be more lenient than what Rav Yehuda is saying in the name of Shmuel. And so the Gemara answers, Masnisin Yechidahi. Our Mishnah is actually the opinion of an individual Tana. The Tanya, as we learned in a Beitzah, Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar says, Lo nechliku Beis Shammai u Beis Hillel al hamefuzarim shebesado she'ein mevi'in. Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, they both agree if you have a situation where it's scattered in the fields, certainly you're not allowed to bring the wood from there. And everybody agrees if it's mechunas in the karfif, that's also fine, you can certainly bring it. Alma nechliku, what's the machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel? Al hamefuzarim shebekarfif, v'al hamechunasin shebesados. The machlokas is, if you have scattered within the karfif, you have gathered within the fields, shebeis Shammai omrim lo yavi, Beis Shammai say you can't bring from there, or Beis Hillel omrim yavi, Beis Hillel say that you are allowed to bring from there, and of course it would come out then that our Mishnah is following the opinion of Beis Hillel within this shita of Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rava says, Alig konim, if you have leaves of reeds, v'alig gefonim, if you have leaves of vines, afal gavd mechan filhu, mosvi, even though they're gathered and they're in one place, kevon di midli zeika mevader lahu, since if the wind would blow, it's going to scatter them, kimefuzarim damu, it's going to be considered as if it is scattered, even when it's gathered, it's considered scattered, v'asurin, and therefore it's usher to take from those on yontiv, v'asnach mona me'as molalayu shaper dami. But Rava says if you put a keli, if you put a vessel on top of them from yesterday, from before yontiv, to hold them down, then it's going to be okay. And the Gemara continues at the two dots, quoting the Mishnah, Ezo karfe v'chulu, it said what's considered to be an enclosed area. Again, Rabbi Yehuda said it has to be near the city mamish, and Rabbi Yossi said as long as it's an area that requires a key to enter, so then it could be even at the end of the tchum. So the Gemara says, they had the following question on the Mishnah. Heichi Kamar, what exactly does the Mishnah mean? Kol shesamuch le'ir v'hu de'islei posachas. Is Rabbi Yehuda saying that it has to be near the city and it has to be an area which you enter with a key? V'asa Rabbi Yossi l'meimar, and then according to that, Rabbi Yossi would be responding and saying, Kevon de'islei posachas, if it's an area that requires a key, afilu b'soch tchum Shabbos nami, it doesn't have to be right next to the city. As long as it's within the tchum Shabbos, that's enough. Oh, deal more, maybe that's not what's going on. Hachi Kamar, maybe what's happening is as follows. Kol shesamuch le'ir, Rabbi Yehuda is saying if it's near the city, bein the islay posachas, bein the leslay posachas, it doesn't matter whether it requires a key to enter or not. The issue, according to Rabbi Yehuda, only is that it has to be near the city. V'yasser Rabbi Yossi l'meimer, and according to this approach, Rabbi Yossi is coming to say, afilu b'soch tchum Shabbos, no, even if you're within the tchum of Shabbos, even if it's not right next to the city, v'davka dislay posachas, that's okay only if it requires a key to enter. Avolezle posachas, but if it's not an area that requires a key, afilu samach le'ir namilo, then even if it's right next to the city, it's not going to be good. In other words, Rabbi Yossi will say it has to be an area that requires a key to enter. And if it doesn't require a key, it doesn't matter how close to the city it is, it doesn't make a difference. And again, according to this second version, so then the Rabbi Yehuda is saying, no, all that really matters is that it be close to the city. It doesn't matter whether it requires a key. And so the Gemara says, Tashma, come in here the following proof. Midaktani, because we learned, Rabbi Yossi Omer, it says, Rabbi Yossi says, Kol shenichnasen lo beposachas, as long as you enter with a key, v'afilu b'soch tchum Shabbos, then it's okay, even if it's within the tchum Shabbos, it doesn't have to be right next to the city. And the Gemara infers, Shma mino, you see from here, Rabbi Yossi tarti lekula ka'amar Shma mino. You see that Rabbi Yossi is saying two leniencies over here. In other words, he's saying, number one, if it has a key, it's totally okay, doesn't have to be near the city. But also, if it's near the city, you don't require the key as well. And Rashi over here explains, Tarti Lakula Ka'amar, Rabbi Yossi is being lenient in both regards. Kalamar means to say as follows, Mid Rabbi Yossi Nishmal Rabbi Yehuda. From Rabbi Yossi we can now understand Rabbi Yehuda as well. The Lav Tarvayu Boy, that Rabbi Yehuda does not require both. Rabbi Yehuda is saying if it's near the city, that's all you need. It doesn't require entrance with a key. Rabbi Yossi Betarti Okil, and then Rabbi Yossi is responding and saying, no, I'm lenient on both sides. Demachshir Besamach below Posachas. Rabbi Yossi says if it's near the city, you don't need a key. Uva Posachas below Samach. And Rabbi Yossi is also lenient if it requires a key, it doesn't need to be near the city. In any case, the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Sala, Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah. Rav Sala says in the name of Rabbi Yirmiyah, Halacha k'Rabbi Yossi l'hakil. The halacha is indeed like Rabbi Yossi, and we're lenient in this situation. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, In mevakin eitzim, you're not allowed to chop wood on Yontiv, lo min hakoros, not from the beams, v'lo min hakora shenishbar b'Yontiv, and not from a beam that broke on Yontiv. The idea is that beams are designated for construction. It's not something that you would chop up the wood to use for fire, and therefore that's not allowed on Yontiv. Ve'ein mevakin, and the Mishnah says further, you're also not allowed to chop wood, lo bekardom, you can't use an axe, v'lo b'magera, you can't use a saw, v'lo b'magel, you can't use a sickle, ela b'kofetz, you have to use a cleaver. The idea is you're not allowed to do it in the normal weekday fashion. That's why it's only allowed with a kofetz, and we'll continue in the next video on Daf Lamed Aleph Amud Beis.